Sarah Bond will no longer be president, and now they have a new Microsoft Gaming CEO, Asha Sharma. And she comes from a background of AI. So there's so much that we can unpack with this news, with what's going on with Xbox. But I want to focus on the one thing that is annoying when it comes to the discourse discussion online, and that is anything that has to do with AI. Look, AI is on the forefront of technology moving forward. We have to identify it. Yes, within that, there's going to be bad practices of that. We need to identify that and communicate this is not how to do it. So far, what Sharma or Asha Sharma, excuse me, has said is completely in line with ethical use of AI. What I would expect a modern video game company to do with AI in order for the end user, the gamer, to get the better product. So I used AI to list all the different things that you wouldn't know that improves game development and actually improves in other areas in life that I don't even know, that you wouldn't even know. And that's what's interesting. I'm in IT, and it's IT consulting. It's helping people deploy technologies. And AI at the base, usage of AI at that foundation level to get you going to be kind of a spot checker, help along the way, is becoming way more ingrained into the work across the industry than you would realize if you're not in that industry, right? If you're a car mechanic, I'm sure maybe you might use ChatGPT sometimes to answer something, but you then will go online and might complain like AI generated slop, blah, blah, blah. And it's like that noise is so annoying because leveraging AI for game dev is going to help us with a lot of things. So engineering and debugging, log crash triage, smarter build break detection, static analysis on steroids, performance regression hunting. You're probably thinking, Adam, you don't even know what you're talking about. And actually, I read this to learn, oh, that's what this involves in game dev. I didn't know this. And some things I did know. So, a lot of stuff I do know, surface level. But a lot of stuff I didn't. I'm like, oh, yeah, you don't want to have to spend time doing that. If we can have AI do that, the creator can spend more time engaging with the systems that the user is going to have to engage with, or spend more time maybe on story, spend more time maybe on optimization. That's a really big deal, especially with Unreal Engine kind of creating this sort of game dev bubble where there's a lot of very specific use cases of someone using Unreal Engine, but it doesn't really help cohesively as a whole with the project. And that's why a lot of these projects fall apart over time. So we have QA and test automation. So test plan generation from specs. So turn a feature spec into a checklist of edge cases. So this is a way you can quickly get things going that you might be like, guys, we don't have time for that. Or I don't know if we can figure out this. We might only realize that halfway through. This can kind of help with that. Bug deduping, routing, playtest analysis. Sure, you can still have a playtester, but you can also have like a sidekick, colleague, professor helping you along the way, or helping with the base level stuff that you don't have to deal with. Production and project management, spec hygiene, risk forecasting, meeting compression, art animation pipeline support, still no asset generation. You do asset validation, check naming convention, missing LODs, bad pivots, inconsistent units, broken references, incorrect import settings. Animation issue detection, again, not generation. Identify foot sliding, popping, IK instability, or retargeting anomalies by analyzing curves metrics, not generating new animation. Perforce get sanity helpers, detect risky merges, missing metafiles, or inconsistent asset GUID changes, that's a huge deal. I mean, who knows how much work, a lot of people actually do know how much time it takes to do these things when it would be nice to have a tool that kind of help you find it. Because sometimes the bug is right there, it's obvious, but the human eye will just miss it as they're looking. When like you have to look for something specific, they're like, oh, I know it's right there. Yeah, exactly. Design and balance, or design balancing and economy tuning. So balance telemetry analysis, economy simulation. So I keep on wanting to say economics. But yeah, economy simulation. So with games, instead of using like the same tried and true economy system, I think this allows developers maybe to try a little more different things they can throw in there. Like even going maybe halfway through development, realizing, hey, we want to change this aspect of the economy, but what effect is it going to have? Is that something we can? There's a lot more checks and balances that could be done. Let's see. Difficulty curve checks. That makes sense. Localization and accessibility support. So this is a good one. Localization QA, flag truncation, variable misuse, gender pluralization issues, or strings that don't match UI context. But again, if you're using it to just generate that end product, you're going to run into that stuff. So seeing it as a way to support, or looking at it as a way to support, is the best use case for AI, not the generation. Customer support and live ops. So ticket triage, known issue. So this is stuff I'm kind of familiar with because within the systems I support, there is functionality that involves a manual input and then a notification going to a specific user group that then they have to enact on. And there's a lot of manual dependencies in that sometimes gets in the way or gets dropped. If you have a system in place where it's, doing that stuff automatically, you can quickly get to the issue, resolve it. Let's see, documentation and knowledge retrieval. This is a huge one. Even right now, while I am working, in my day job, there's pretty much a silo of my knowledge of the projects I'm working on. And I can interface, with that chatbot and ask, hey, do you have a reference of this use case, blah, blah, blah. And then it will go and it'll pull that among all the things that I've put together. And that seems really simple, but if you start working that way from the ground up in game dev and anything, you'll realize you can quickly iterate where you need to. So a lot of what is going on with even Sony, even Nintendo, there's a lot of foundational things that are like, look, we've spent this much time doing this. Nowadays, we can use AI, and I hate to say that because then people just think, oh, AI generation, slop. No, we can use AI to quickly get to where we need to, save a ton of money. So it's probably saving money for Sony to do what they're doing right now by axing and canceling the stuff, because then they know that they can just start new projects that have kind of an AI foundation and they can go from there. Microsoft's just always been more transparent about all their moves the entire time, and then people get mad at them. But Sony is doing the same thing. They just don't say it. And so then people just then assume, oh, Microsoft's. But Sony does say it. They just usually say it within stockholder meetings or whatever that most the average gamer that posts on X doesn't actually listen to, because Sony's already said they're going to get out of hardware. Just like Microsoft has been saying since 2014. And all that cloud infrastructure is only further going to be supported by having AI in place. And yeah, we saw with Amazon, they had an issue recently where their AI messed up in whatever pipeline and caused some outages. And I guess that will be some of the growing pains along the way. But once they can sort of filter down and solidify the use case necessary for AI, it's going to help with a lot of things. So I think Microsoft being transparent about this is a good thing. I can name a number of times in history where Microsoft has revolutionized the gameplay experience for the market, and I don't see why they wouldn't still do that. For instance, the hard drive that you had on the Xbox with the modem. Remember, the first Xbox, hard drive and modem. Now network card. Now that's completely standard. Even still having the 4 controller ports when they really didn't need to. And then the backwards compatibility. And then coming up with Game Pass, which, hey, I'm going to admit I like. It saved me money. And so many other things. So, I really got to say it is possible that Microsoft might be doing something with AI here that at the end of the day, and again, she's, what's her, again, Asha Sharma, she has spelled out what her plans are with AI, and it is in line with what I've learned is best use case for AI, and I think it can make game dev even better. So